Thank you for joining with us for these brief moments at these noonday devotions. And I trust everything is going well with you. I trust you're still well, your family well, and you're doing the things that you are told that will help keep this virus from getting into your body system. Well, what I want to share today is what's in my heart, and I'm going to tag back into what I preached about this past Sunday morning. I talked this past Sunday morning about what I think may be the most important verse in all the Bible for Christians. And it's probably the most misused verse in all the Bible. I hear it misused in so many ways and think what a sad, sad thing that the great truth that's taught is being somewhat hijacked by someone really not being true to what the Scripture itself says. Now that verse, you know it, it's Romans chapter 8, verse 28, and that verse says, we know that all things work together for good to those that love God. Now, here's the question that comes from that verse. Everything that happens, does God make it happen, or does God allow it to happen? We're talking about the perfect will of God, the permissive will of God. In other words, take the coronavirus. Did God send the coronavirus? Well, maybe not. Maybe so. Or did God allow the coronavirus? Well, He did one or the other. God is sovereign. God is in control, and God can do whatever He chooses. But the answer to that, we won't ever know until we get to heaven. But here's what we do know. The coronavirus is out there, either sent by God or allowed by God. And if we, with it, like all the other things that come into our life, will respond as the Bible teaches, and especially in Romans 8:28, then we will experience God bringing good from not only the coronavirus, but from everything that we encounter. You know, to teach something is one thing. To believe that same thing is another. But to experience it, it's like a world unto its own. And the joy is not just knowing Romans 8:28. The joy is not just teaching Romans 8:28. The real joy is experiencing Romans 8:28. Now here's what it says. We know that all things work together for good. In other words, all the things that come into life are not good. But whether they be good or bad, if we will do what this verse says, respond in the appropriate way, God will bring good from everything, whether He sends that or whether He allows that. Now, you say, well, what's the key to this? Well, the key is to listen very carefully. Let me say the verse again. We know that all things work together for good to those that love God. That word love is present tense, not loved, ed, past tense. In other words, if a person is living their life today, loving God today, then what they can be assured, God is going to bring good out of whatever comes their way. And you say, well, like this whole idea of loving God today, living in the present, loving God, how can we know? Well, Jesus tells us very plainly how we can know. Back in the Gospel of John in chapter 14, verse 15, Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. So, this word love, many people say they love God, but the proof is in the pudding. And the way we know if we love God is if we are obeying the things that God has told us to do. So, you look at your obedience and give it a grade and know this. If you're living today, loving the Lord, how do you know? You're best you can obeying His commandments. Then here's what you can know. You can know that whatever comes your way, God will bring good from it. Well, I encourage you today, love the Lord today. You say, Pastor, I love the Lord. Okay. then here's how you know. Those who love me keep my commandments. Keep the things God's told you to do. Live in obedience. Trust the Lord, and He will bring good whatever you experience. Have a great rest of this day and a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next time.